Some of them call themselves anarcho-capitalists, an oxymoron, a contradiction in terms. There's a big element of anarchism, literal anarchism, in libertarianism. One of the main formers of the movement was Murray Rothbard, who was a very eloquent and outspoken advocate of anarchism. Now, anarchism is the philosophy that there should be no government. Rothbard wanted all use of force to be private, which he said would prevent the monopoly and put force on the market. He wanted there to be competition among governments as there is competition among car manufacturers, or that there would be if you had laissez-faire capitalism. But this is an impossible idea and an evil and ugly and destructive idea. Competition in government means let's have lawyers armed with weapons. Lawyers representing clients would be the governments that compete. Competition in government means competition in the forcible restraint of human beings. It means using guns, not using dollars. It's the opposite of capitalism, unless it's restrained by a constitution that is objective and settles the law for the entire geographical territory that the government operates in. But the idea of competition in enforcing your own law is just vigilantism, lynch mobs, mafia, terrorist groups given full license and saying, yes, this is what we want. We want permanent civil war. Some of them call themselves anarcho-capitalists, an oxymoron, a contradiction in terms. If you don't believe in the rule of law, you don't believe in the market. If you don't believe in the market, you're not a capitalist. So the idea of common cause between advocates of capitalism and advocates of arming the lawyers is an irreparable breach in libertarianism. David Friedman is a very outspoken anarchist. I've argued with him in person about it. He is a complete anarchist and wrote a book called The Machinery of Freedom, arguing in favor of it. He admitted to me that he couldn't solve the problem of national defense. He's also religious. And you know what I think religion does to this worldly selfish pursuit of greedy private bucks. It demonizes them.
So the objective critique to anarcho-capitalism is, look, let's say you have two different, let's say, police authorities, two different competing governments, let's say. And let's say that the government which has the most subscribers, the security force that has the most subscribers, is, let's say, for Sharia law. Therefore, you're not going to have respect for individual rights because the majority is for Sharia law or the majority is for something else, or white supremacy, whatever.
Right.
But wouldn't they say that the same exact could be turned around against, let's say, a constitutional republic? They would say, if only the Sharia law people or the racial superiority people or the communist people, if they get more votes, there goes your rights. What would be your reply to that?
Well, in the long run, that's true. There's no preventing that. If you want to live with people and you can't make them, I think make is the wrong word, you can't convince them of the truth and they want to live in error, you can't make them think and you can't preserve freedom. But to the extent that you have good arguments, as objectivism does, as to why man has rights, you can voice those arguments and convince the rational people in your society of their validity. And that provides a secure basis. Then there are certain holding actions, like a good constitution, which doesn't per se allow you to make laws enforcing your particular morality. The general system is based upon a morality, but the specific laws don't say you have to believe this or you have to gain virtue by doing that. It just says, leave others alone. Do not use force against them. That's the only extension of morality into the political sphere under capitalism. So the answer is no. If you're living in an insane asylum, there's nothing you can do. You can't establish a good society. If your society goes insane, you can't hold on to it. If, as in the real world, there's some rational thinking people and other, maybe more irrational, unthinking people, you can still win. And once you've won, you can do things to slow down any degradation, which is a constitution. Our constitution in the United States is pretty damn good, but there's a lot of holes in it that allowed the growth of statism. But you have to admit that it worked well for the first 100 years. And the first major breach was in I believe it was 1890, the Sherman Antitrust Act was the first major breach in the Constitution. So you can set up institutions in a way that will retard any activity towards irrational political systems, but you can't stop it completely.